Vimlark is a man, or a monkey, who makes game development content here on YouTube. Recently, he teamed up with 8 Bits to Infinity to host VimJam, where everybody has to make a game in 10 days from scratch, following a theme and a focus. I participated in the first VimJam with the game Final Boss. Vimlark never played it. And I skipped the second jam but since I'm at least a level 32 game developer, according to RuneScape stats, which isn't much, I figured I'd make something really good this year. It's a total hoot of a game. Before the jam started, the focus was already announced. Multi-use. You aren't allowed to prototype or make art before the jam starts. It's not a hard rule, but, honor system. So I had a couple thoughts in my head and figured I'm good at making platformers, so I should play to my strengths. The issue is platformers are pretty generic and it's hard to make them stand out from the crowd, so I figured what if the player controls the platform and has to carry NPCs around? It's a cool idea, but how would I make it? Let's marinate on it. The jam starts. Day 1, Friday, September 9th, 2022. The theme? Turning up the heat. VimMan the Lark himself said to interpret this however you want. That could even mean the intensity of a game increases over time. Well, I made a game like that called Last Island, where things heat up quite a bit. So maybe I make a wave-based arcade game about bringing NPCs across a chasm on a platform that you control, so, completely different from Last Island. Planning time. So let's say there's a chasm with a castle on one side and a platform connected by cables that let it move around. What if there's different NPCs like peasants, merchant, royalty? Maybe the platform could shoot missiles at balloons in the sky so it could have multiple uses, fitting the focus. And there's evil NPCs that you have to try and not get across so you can burn them in the fire pit to turn up the heat, loosely fitting the theme. To make it more interesting, the player has to charter the different NPCs to their respective doors, and maybe you're the wizard behind this whole thing. Spoiler, no wizards were added to the game. Now it's my favorite part of a game jam, making a new, there's an update. Making a new project in GameMaker. Let's start with some solid objects to build out the level, then adding a boundary for the platform to exist inside of and some movement code. Now let's add some NPCs that can walk back and forth and a little bit of idling to add some life, and they can walk on the platform. I also added the feature where they float into space and vibrate intensely. I've been playing around with the with function, and it's really good at making objects in GameMaker move with each other, and it works with some finagling. But a small issue here. You have to be pixel perfect when moving the platform, otherwise the villagers think they're hitting a wall and they just turn around. So I added these red boxes that snap the platform for 20 frames. Keep in mind, a lot of what you're seeing on screen right now is the hidden code stuff behind the game, so it looks funky but will be completely invisible by the end of the jam. Now it's time to add the jump mechanics so the royalty can get up to their high castle entrance. Note to self, add the gravity variable before expecting Newton's laws to work. Also, the villager needs to keep the horizontal momentum of the platform when jumping so you can launch them up to the top. Nice. Now adding the merchants, royalties, and villains, we have the game starting to form. Just spawn them in after a set time frame and it can be chaotic as all hell. So the objective at this point is something, for sure. Gonna be honest, at this point in the development it feels like a sorting game, but with one platform there's not really a good way to sort them. I also don't know what I was thinking when I made the villagers occasionally idle for a bit because the player's waiting for a long time just to get people on. I usually don't make artwork until I have the core mechanics set up, but I hated the gameplay so much that I figured maybe a color palette and a pretty looking level could help. It kinda did, but it still feels really dull, like I'm a bus driver sorting people to their respective stops. Even the balloons you could shoot out of the sky were, bluntly put, kinda lame. So what do you do when you hate the game you're making but only have a limited time to finish? Scrap it and try something else? No, procrastinate for 3 days until you figure out how to make the game actually fun. It's not that I'm lazy, it's just really hard to find motivation to work on something you don't actually love. I also, work full time because YouTube ain't supporting me until you subscribe. I hate doing that. Let's break it down. What do I like about this game and what is bad? First off, the villagers taking random pauses needs to go. They always have to be in motion, and to make it easier for the player, they will always go towards the objective and stop backtracking unless necessary. Second, the sorting thing is dumb. Let's make all the villagers have to get across to the same objective. The balloons are also very pointless, so they also gotta go. And this whole random spawn points thing is very pointless, so get it out of here. When I was showing my friends this awful prototype, the one thing they enjoyed was all the villagers flying into the air off the platform. And if there's one thing I've learned from game development, it's this quote: follow the fun. So let's remake the game, but entirely around this jumping mechanic. Also, time for a graphical overhaul. We got 3 unique villagers with jumping and running sprites, lava that wiggles and flows back and forth, a stone tile set to fit the volcanic theme, distant mountains to express the size of the canyon, and most importantly, randomly generated clouds. Also, I didn't mention it, but I have these cables and wheels that move with the platform to sell the effect of the thing not magically floating over the chasm because there's no wizard in the game. Now we can add obstacles for the player to bounce the people over while trying not to drop anyone in the lava. I was figuring out how to animate the villagers dying in the lava and thought about having them slowly sink in for realism, but that sounded way too horrific for a game that appears as cute and silly as this. So I went with the physically impossible but more hilarious option, having them launch into the atmosphere and float off into the background. This was by far my favorite part of the game. The little dot that falls in the background really sells the effect like Team Rocket blasting off again. I showed my buddies the progress and they loved the death animation. They started making little screams for the villagers and I said, you know what, if you scream into your mic as loud as possible, I'll throw it in the game. So they did, and this is what I got. So I threw the sounds into Ableton and I added a lot of reverb with the fade out effect, and this is what it sounds like in the game. And this is what it sounds like when you drop all the villagers in the lava at the same time. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna add a volume option. Now here's where more game designy stuff comes in. When the level first starts, the villagers spawn in and hop onto the platform. Your goal is to get them across the chasm by avoiding obstacles like this geyser. The issue is, the player will end up waiting on the left side for all the villagers to get on, and waiting isn't fun, so the less villagers per level, the better. But this presents another issue. The level ends too fast when all the villagers get across in one go. So I created a 3-wave system where once the player gets at least 6 of the 10 villagers in a wave across the chasm, the next wave starts running in. If you don't get at least 6 villagers across, you fail the level and have to restart. It's not explained super well to the player, and I got some comments about it after submitting my game, but I did my best with this heads-up display. I also wanted some exposition before each level to tell the story of what's happening here, so I created a system that saves text in a list, and before the level starts, this box appears and tells the player what's going on and how to play. I don't know why, but I set it up in a way that every level has an exposition text, so after a few levels you get stuff that just says, "Ah, another geyser." Good luck though. Tutorials. This is some of the best advice I got in game development, and I'm gonna teach you a little secret. When making a game, the player has no idea how to play, even if you think you made it as straightforward as possible, so the best solution for this is to have the sprite of what button to press and some text telling the player what it does. I usually just fade it out after some time or have it disappear when the player pushes that button, and it takes a couple minutes to throw in your game and it saves the player so much stress trying to figure out what to do. So with the tutorial in, I realized the player has no urgency. They can take their sweet time and lollygag about while these villagers are sweating in the volcano. Similar to the motivator from Wipeout that smacks people if they hesitate too long, I added a rising lava column. And when it hits these invisible blocks, it creates multiple lava geysers that launch any villagers that didn't make it onto the platform. I tried my best to tune it in a way where the player doesn't feel super rushed, but still have a feeling of, hurry up you stupid villagers. Now it's time to add a title screen. This is the first thing the player sees, so I always try to make it look good, even in the limited time setting of a game jam. I figured the lava canyon looks good enough, so why not reuse the assets I've already made? Oh, I guess I need a name for this game. Let's see, villagers are passing over this volcanic canyon. What's a synonym for hot? Balmy? It means pleasantly warm. Sure, yeah, lava sounds pleasantly warm. Balmy Pass, that's the title. As of this point, the sound effects are just villagers screaming, so I added some more to spice things up. The platform moving back and forth is just a recording of my air conditioning. You hear that? It means it's balmy in September. The platform jump sound is actually a kick drum sample I had in Ableton with a little bit of editing. I wanted some ambient sounds of lava, so I gurgled into my microphone, pitched it down a lot, and made popping sounds with my lips. I'm pretty sure this is how they made the lava sounds in Minecraft because it sounds eerily similar. Now to create a bunch of levels involving multiple platforms to fit the jam focus. They start out really simple, but slowly add more mechanics, like jumping over lava geysers, jumping villagers from one platform to the next, even fireballs that bounce up and down, all culminating in the final level that is a complete fever dream. Which, upon completing, brings the player to the end screen where the villagers jump in happiness as the credits roll. Now to add some background music to tie the whole game together, oh, it's 4 AM on a Sunday, and I have work in the morning. He didn't add music. He uploaded the game on itch and went to bed. So after the jam period ended, Vimlark streamed as many games as he could on his Twitch channel, and here is Vimlark himself playing my game on his stream.
The arrow keys. There we go. Well, it doesn't have much in the way of sound effects, but the one it does have. Alright, let's get them all on. That... Oh my god, is that entertaining. Well done. That's super funny. But the characters falling in the background, the little sound effects, how cute. This is adorable. Ooh. Okay, so now we gotta move them all on here, jump them all onto here. Like that? Like so? Like so? Okay, let's... Oh! These morons. Oh my god, this is amazing. That's so good. Some of them are just too dumb and they run themselves into the ground. What a moron! Why'd you jump that way? Remember how I was talking about how they're actually smart and they didn't just jump off and run off the sides? I take back everything good I said about them. They're morons. Okay, so on this one, actually, what we want to do, I think... Oh, we can adjust. Okay, so we're gonna go... Punk. And, yep, there we go. Just dropping them straight down. Is that the volcano on the left there that I gotta get them off faster? Go, 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 go before it catches fire. There we go. Woof. That was scary times. Got him. Why did that guy jump the wrong way? Come on, stupid. Unless you are... I'm a really good operator right now. Why did they jump off the wrong side? Volcano finally cooled off and the chasm is no more. Yes, it's all I could avoid. Dude, that's awesome. Super, super good. Super, super good.
Seeing Vimlark, a man I've watched on YouTube for over 3 years, playing my game was just surreal. You can play Balmy Pass on itch.io yourself if you check out the description below. Also, while you're there, check out all the other awesome games that were submitted. But how did my game rank in the final jam standings? The results were out October 3rd, and out of 200 games submitted, I scored number 5 in the overall community vote and number 1 in the fun and design category. Then, the jam host Retro Indie Josh, who works closely with Vimlark to handle logistics, announced the winners. The community choice winner, The Devil Wears Trident by Marcus himself. The host choice, from Retro Indie Josh, Outlive by Ginger Ninjarish. And finally, Vimlark's choice, Balmy Pass by Nada Bladum. I've peaked. I'm at the top of the mountain. I guess it's all downhill from here.